Meanwhile, as teams try to finalize their rosters and prepare to depart for Orlando next week, Portland All-Star guard Damian Lillard expressed serious doubts about all the rules and protocols and whether they will be strictly adhered to by players in the bubble.
You telling me you're going to have, 22 teams full of players follow all the rules? Like, when we have 100% freedom, everybody don't follow all the rules. So, I mean, I don't have much confidence, but hopefully, it'll be handled to a point where, like, we're not putting everybody at risk or in a dangerous position. You know what I'm saying?
Dame Lillard saying out loud what I'm sure a lot of us in our heads wonder. Is everybody going to follow the rules? Malika Andrews joins us now, about to enter the bubble in earnest, already down there in the Florida area. Malika, around the league, what are the concerns about the ability of a bunch of people who have autonomy, they have agency over themselves? Are they going to follow these rules?
Yeah, Scott, from talking to players, coaches, and just folks around the league, it's just the sheer number of rules that are all very necessary. But to remember all 113 pages of protocol is just very difficult. And I have talked to players who have shared the same sentiments that Damian Lillard said. It just might not be super realistic to ask all of these players to follow these protocols. And the league seems to know that they're going to need to remind players of this, right? I mean, within the first 3 days that players are actually in Orlando, they're going to have to be going through an orientation to remind them of what exactly the rules are. But I can tell you from already being down here, there is definitely just room for human-sized error. It's little things like people talking on the phone and removing their masks so that folks can hear them a little bit better. It's the instinct to want to move closer to a person to talk to them when they can't hear you. That stuff is already, I've seen it be happening down here as is. And so moving into the bubble, there is absolutely that level of concern, but also an understanding that in order for this to work, players are going to have to be reminded and to have to do their absolute very best to follow these rules and these protocols that are ultimately put in place for their safety.
All right, well, the games come at the end of the month. We're at the beginning of the month. And when the focus shifts back to the floor, here's last year's MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, talking about what winning a title this year would mean.
I've heard a lot of people say that, there's going to be, how you guys say, the star next to this championship. I feel like at the end of the day, this is going to be the toughest, championship you could ever win, because, the circumstances are really, really tough right now. So whoever wants it more is going to be able to go out there and take it.
Malika, I'll cop to this. I have to reacquaint myself as to who's where in the standings. And the Bucks were playing incredible basketball for the bulk of the year. They actually were playing they had a bit of a hiccup there at the very end. But as far as Giannis and his state of mind about winning this very difficult championship, how do you frame that?
Well, when we spoke to Giannis today, he said he was excited and ready to chase a title. Because remember, Scott, you and I have talked about this before. Giannis is he's the ultimate competitor, one of the most competitive guys in the league. And he joked that his months-old son, Liam, isn't much of a competition. So he's excited to actually be able to play against other guys, especially because he said right now his workouts are just limited to one-on-one individual work with one coach. He can't really interact with his teammates on the floor all that much, and then he gets to lift in the weight room. So he said he's looking forward to getting down here so he can actually engage in that level of competition. But also remember that Giannis does not work out with competitors. He doesn't like to schmooze. He doesn't like to hang around other people. So he said being in the bubble and actually having to live with the guys he wants to go out on the floor and beat is going to be a challenge. But the Bucks, unlike potentially some other title contenders, like let's say the Lakers, they are expecting, Mike Budenholzer said, for their entire roster to actually make the trip to Orlando. They don't expect any players to opt out. So the Bucks, from what I've been told behind the scenes too, are really united in their quest. They want to come down here and play.
Malika, years ago when I went to Phoenix for the Super Bowl, I was there for a week. I brought one bag just for my shoes, okay? One bag just for my shoes. What does one pack when they're going into the bubble for who knows how long?
27 dresses,
okay.
Legitimately I counted. Versatile things. I was like, okay, what can we pair with multiple different things here? I brought a Scrabble board which doesn't even seem logical because I realized I'm not actually going to be able to play with anyone, although my mother has offered to have my sister call in her moves and we'll kind of play virtually. And Scott, so many Clorox wipes, I sold out the store. Sponsored by Clorox. That's what this trip should be called.
Right on. Look, you can't be too safe. I mean, we got a road trip hopefully in August to go cover some golf out in California. I may get your Cliff's Notes on what I ought to do. Stay safe. And, I mean, you're covering history and you're in the middle of it, and we'll be counting on you to do so. So we appreciate it, Malika.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.